Welcome to the MMA Outsiders Podcast with Andrew Pearson and AJ Miller.
You are listening to the MMA Outsiders Podcast. I'm Andrew Pearson.
I'm AJ Herrick.
And today we got an interview for you with the esteemed Jon Fitch.
Jon Fitch, man, that was like one of the highlights of my life so far.
Yeah, it was pretty surreal getting to
surreal.
talk to Jon Fitch about kind of his relationship with the UFC, the lawsuit, the class action lawsuit that's currently going on based on the UFC's monopoly behavior, more accurately, monopsony behavior. So that's currently ongoing. It takes a long time to get antitrust lawsuit like that going, but basically all the fighters who were employed in the UFC from in a certain period of time will be eligible for payouts if it's successful.
2010, so, right?
Yeah, I think it was 2000-something to 2010.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then we're going to talk about UFC 217, which was, I rated the second best card I've ever seen. The main card, I think, is the second best ever.
What was the first best card?
UFC 189. I saw UFC 189 in a theater, and
in Houston, right?
Yeah, 2 flying knee knockouts. Gunnar Nelson choked out Brandon Thatch. You had the epic fight of the year, all-time great classic between Rory McDonald and Robbie Lawler. And Conor McGregor finished off Chad Mendes, and that was the first time we really knew he was going to be a star.
And that was also a memorable night for me as well, because I watched it at a Wingstop in Humble, I think, and my friend told me that he had sex with a tranny. So that was
UFC 217.
Yeah.
But yeah, UFC 217 was amazing. Is by far the best card of the year.
Yeah. And GSP is back. You downplayed that shit like hardcore.
GSP is back, man. I didn't have any expectations coming in just because he's been out for 4 years and he's a division up in a weight class that he's not used to. And you know what? He pulled some shit out his back pocket that he hasn't. When was the last time he knocked someone down and finished them? Matt Hughes.
I don't think I've ever seen him throw anything other than a jab for the past several fights.
It's been more than a decade since he knocked someone down with a strike and finished them on the ground. It was Matt Hughes, and that was like 2006.
And he was throwing the Joe Rogan signature turning sidekick.
Yeah, he threw a lot of stuff. He threw the turning sidekick. He threw that Superman jab. Actually, knocked Michael Bisping off balance with that Superman jab.
Because you're not
and
expecting
then clipped him with a wheel kick.
Yeah,
like this was a GSP we've literally never seen this GSP.
I don't think I've ever seen him throw a wheel kick.
He threw a wheel kick. I remember Nick Diaz threw like a slow ass wheel kick, and he's like, "What was that shit?" And he threw like a faster one, but it wasn't close to landing.
Right, he just kind of did it to show off.
Yeah,
it's incredible to know like GSP. Think about this: GSP is capable athletically of doing probably everything that
at 36 years old too.
Well, think about him when he's younger. So like he's capable of doing all of those things.
Yeah, counter right hand.
But he beat everybody with like
a jab and a
double leg. Think about that. If he would actually unloaded, crazy.
This was like pre-Matt Serra GSP.
Yeah.
And the crazy thing was like it wasn't like he didn't get hit either, and it wasn't like it wasn't like he's cruising either. This was a GSP like when he just like rose exhausted from the corpse of Michael Bisping, the unconscious body of Michael Bisping, and like raised his arms. He was exhausted because that shit was a feat. It was a fucking triumph. And he was, first of all, he was exhausted in that second round. You saw him get tired. He's carrying extra weight. It's first time back in 4 years. And he was getting tired, and Michael Bisping specializes in beating up tired guys.
Did you notice Michael Bisping's cup situation going on? What was it do with that?
It broke somehow. Like his cup broke, so they just took that shit out, and he's literally fighting without a cup.
Because he looked really
Michael
funny
Bisping, by the way, tough as shit when it actually comes down to it.
Yeah.
He refused to go away. Literally had to choke him unconscious.
Yeah.
Which was pretty awesome. But man, that fight was like beyond anything I could have expected.
I I was thoroughly impressed. Not super surprised because I figured GSP with a 4-year layoff probably would get rejuvenated. I mean, 4 years is a long time to get rejuvenated and wanting to come back.
But did you expect him to come back like a whole different fighter?
I didn't
like
expect
a new
him to
man?
win the fight.
I didn't expect him to win the fight either, just because some of the things I expected to see were there. He was slower. He wasn't that his jab was there, but it wasn't that like leaping across the cage and popping your head back with every spot jab. I mean, I think he's clearly lost a step. The only reason it didn't matter so much is he's fighting a 38-year-old Michael Bisping who's also lost a step.
Yeah.
But the fact that let's talk about the left hook too. He knocked Michael Bisping down with Michael Bisping's own shot.
You're
the who's left hook Larry now.
Yeah.
And that was awesome, man. But it was also the fact that like it could have easily gone another way if he hadn't finished Michael Bisping. Like if he hadn't jumped on that rear naked choke, which again, when was the last time we saw him lock in a rear naked choke? Was it like Frank Trigg? This is a GSP we haven't seen in years. He wasn't just jabbing, man. Michael Bisping was throwing to hurt. He was throwing to knock him out, and he actually did.
Wait, did he fight Sean Sharp before Frank Trigg?
He might have. Man, that's all so far. That's all more than a decade ago. That's all before I started following the sport.
You know, I'm also kind of waiting to be disappointed as well.
So,
you know what I'm saying?
Talking about like what's next for him?
No. I'm talking about USADA stuff. I'm just kind of waiting to be disappointed again.
Man, I said that in my post-fight piece.
Yeah.
I'm like, man, like no matter what comes next, nothing can ruin this night. And I was like, oh, not nothing. Looking at you, USADA.
Yeah. And so then Michael Bisping is champ again, and we get back to the square one. That would be terrible. But
that would be terrible. We'll see.
Knocking on wood, that's not going to happen.
So the real champion, Robert Whittaker, was standing there, and so GSP comes back, heroic, amazing moment, historic moment. He's only the fourth guy to win a belt in 2 divisions, and the question then becomes. And by the way, makes the matchmakers for that moment look like geniuses. But then the dilemma goes back to, well, what do you do now? And I'm torn because part of me wants to see him pass that shine along to like Robert Whittaker, and part of me doesn't want to see him get his ass beat.
Yeah.
And I'm not discounting what GSP can do because obviously he didn't surprise us all, but he surprised me.
He surprised me in a way, but I wasn't super surprised to see him perform the way he did because he had fucking 4 years and he has not stopped training.
GSP is one of those guys, by all accounts, he's always in the gym. Like even when he was completely retired, was in the gym like at least 3 days a week, more probably like 5 days a week. So I mean, you saw things that he's never successfully done in a fight before, like clip someone with a wheel kick.
Has he ever? Does he lift weights at all, or does he just do gymnastics? Like I'm sure he lifts some weights, right?
He lifts some weights. He's big into gymnastics, but I mean, remember after his retirement, he blew out his other knee, so he's had both knees blown out. And you know what? The other thing was you saw that he doesn't have that explosive double leg either. He has really good timing, and he got Michael Bisping down, which is amazing. Well, of course, once he got him to the ground, like it's a bigger guy. And Bisping cut him up with elbows.
From the bottom.
From the bottom, yeah. So, I mean, really, really hard. It was a feat. That's why I say, like, this was a hard fight. And a hard fight against a 38-year-old Michael Bisping.
Still Michael Bisping, though.
Yeah. I mean, Michael Bisping's a tough guy, tough opponent. And, you know, regardless of what he's done since he won the belt, which is basically
not too much.
Barely beat Dan Henderson. And...
I would have given that
get
fight
choked out by
Anderson.
GSP. Yeah, I know, man. But I mean, regardless of what he did, he won the belt in historic fashion.
Well, there's like a controversial thing with Michael Bisping too about some of his wins in general. So, and he's not really like one of my. He's a favorite of mine as a personality. But I remember there's been a few fights that he's kind of won on judges' scorecards that are questionable. One being Matt Hamill. At the time, he was undefeated.
Oh, that's way back in the day.
Way back in the day, and I remember watching that fight. But I think it was like the first UFC fight in England, and I want to say it was in Liverpool. I can't remember, but yeah, he fought.
Yeah, by all accounts, I've never seen it, but by all accounts, that fight was an absolute robbery.
He got taken down the whole time. Matt Hamill just wrestled the shit out of him, beat the fuck out of him, and then it seemed all judges had it scored unanimously for Michael Bisping. There was another fight, I'm trying to remember, that happened to as well. You can find it on MMA, or what was it called, Montage King on YouTube. There's a few little videos talking about that, controversial wins. There was another, it was almost as big as a robbery as Kevin Randleman
And Bas Rutten.
but the only reason that's bigger is because that was for a title. But it was the similar kind of thing, you know.
Where he just is on bottom the whole time,
Yeah.
and somehow they give him the decision.
Yeah.
I mean, I was actually kind of wondering if it did go to the scorecards, how they were going to score that top control for GSP, because he landed a couple shots, but it wasn't anything significant, and
Yeah.
he got busted up from the bottom.
Right.
But of course, it
Well,
didn't
and it's
matter.
New York too, man. So
Didn't matter. Yeah, that's true. I mean, so what's next for GSP? I mean, I gotta think
Whitaker. That's what Dana White was talking about.
they were talking. Well, I feel like now that Dana White said it, it's almost definitely not going to happen. And again, I'm of two minds, because GSP has obviously lost a couple steps. He doesn't have that like explosive penetration. Still has the great timing. Still has good technique. But I mean, fighting a 38-year-old Michael Bisping is nothing like fighting a 26-year-old Bobby Knuckles, who, you know, let's not forget, he stopped Yoel Romero's takedowns. Right. He beat up Jacare, knocked out Jacare.
Yeah.
It's really hard for me to see that fight going GSP's way.
Yeah.
And while I love Robert Whitaker, I would love to see him get that big payday in that massive high-profile fight. Yeah. Part of me is like, man, GSP went out on top. He came back. Somehow he's still on top. Maybe he shouldn't do that for his own health.
Well, the UFC needed that. They needed another superstar, so finally GSP. And they kind of needed him to win.
That's what I'm saying. Are they just going to turn on and feed him to the young lion?
I don't know.
The most likely outcome, in my mind, is Conor McGregor.
I don't.
Even though it
that.
makes no sense.
Makes 0 sense. But I would. I guess I would watch it.
It's hands down the biggest fight for either guy. Hands down the biggest fight in MMA. The biggest fight in MMA history.
Would they meet at 170?
See, that's the question. That's the real question. I don't know how they would do it. If they met at 170 with no belts on the line, okay, fine.
Like
but
fight.
McGregor has to defend his belt sooner or later, right? Like he's got to fight Tony Ferguson,
right?
Sooner or later,
right?
And two, GSP now has a belt. I mean, if he just abandons it and goes down to welterweight and they have a super fight, that's fine. Like he just like gives the belt to Robert Whitaker. I mean, I'd be sad for Robert Whitaker missing out on that super fight, but I mean, that's at least not. It's not like a travesty, like giving Conor McGregor a middleweight title shot. That's what I hope does not happen.
I hope that one thing that I think is if
that's got to be a bridge too far, right?
Well, if first of all, GSP looked great against Michael Bisping, but like you said, it's not the same. A lot of people will say, you know, GSP's the greatest of all time. He looks so good.
I think he is the greatest of all time.
I do too.
And he looked amazing.
Looked amazing against Michael Bisping.
Right.
So, I mean, it does make you kind of think about the Anderson Silva fight as well, how that would have went with both of them in their prime. You know, we always, he's too small. But, like, Michael Bisping walks around pretty fucking big, dude. Michael Bisping used to be a light heavyweight.
There wasn't a visible size difference.
Not to me, but
they looked the same size.
GSP put weight on.
GSP put weight on, but, like, look at his reach. And I mean, someone else was saying, like clearly his power is even, like, he didn't really have notable power at welterweight, but because of his speed and his reach, you know, he was able to knock Bisping down with a hook. And someone was saying, like, you look at guys who have gone up in weight, and because they're a little bit faster, as long as they have the reach and the speed and the range, they actually tend to show more power, but just because they can put their hands on people a little bit better. People like Robert Whitaker, Dustin Poirier, you know, even like Jorge Masvidal. Like, guys go up in weight and, like, they actually knock people out more. Their ability to control people on the ground generally goes down. Donald Cerrone actually the exception to the ground control thing, but
well, so if
you know, we could still see the GSP Anderson Silva fight. If somehow Anderson Silva gets past Kelvin Gastelum,
nobody wants to see that shit.
Yeah, people do. You'd be surprised.
Yeah, like, I would watch it, but I would rather see that wouldn't be as big of a card as you said, Conor McGregor.
If he fights for the middleweight title again, it's got to be against the interim middleweight champion.
I'll tell you who I'm sick of seeing is Tyron Woodley. But not to sidetrack, let's keep talking about the rest of the card, man. We have Cody Gar Brant.
Oh my goodness.
TJ.
So this was the fight that had me screaming in my TV, just like TJ
yeah.
Dillashaw was screaming in Cody Gar Brant's face. Such an amazing moment because, I mean, we all have our preferences. TJ is one of my guys, man. We talked about this when he beat Henan Brow.
That was a big deal. We watched that shit.
We
instantly barely knew who he was.
Yeah, we barely knew
who the fuck is this
TJ
kid?
Dillashaw. He's on like he's like on 1 or 2 wins, and he gets a title shot, and then he outclassed Henan Brow. He instantly became my guy. I wanted to fight exactly like him.
Right.
And you know, when he fought, now if you look back on his record, the only loss he has is a split decision, which is very debatable, to Dominic Cruz.
He lost a few other times too. He got knocked out by John Dotson in the Ultimate Fighter finale. But title wins, I'm talking about
Dwayne. Post Dwayne Ludwig, like the modern version of TJ Dillashaw only has 1 loss, and it's debatable.
That's true.
This was a tough fight for him though.
Right.
And that's the other thing. Like UFC 217 could have been so different, man, because you saw Cody Gar Brant floor TJ Dillashaw with
the end of the round.
Yeah, at the end of the first round, he's basically saved by the bell.
Yeah, he could have lost. Like if it had been
easily lost.
He would have easily lost that fight. Yeah.
Garbrandt was so much faster in the pocket.
Right.
That was kind of what made it so amazing. I mean, I'll just say I'm not a huge fan of Cody Gar Brant. I don't know what it is about the guy, but it's just like the fact that he, I don't know, man.
It's just trash talk.
I think it is.
Yeah,
but he's the ultimate dude, bro. He's the ultimate alpha male dude, bro. He looks fucking crazy when he's in there.
Right.
And his like, I don't know why he fights so angry. He was legit, like he's flipping off TJ Dillashaw after he knocked him down at the end of the first. Even his like taunting was like, he ducked a head kick and then like did a little taunt, but like he just looked angry the whole time. And I'm like, why are you angry? TJ Dillashaw is just in there having fun. And I know there's a lot of, it was a serious feud, but like part of me is just, I don't know, man. He was so convinced he was the alpha male.
So Cody talked about that on Joe Rogan, how he gets in the mindset of fighting, and that's one of the things that he does. It is business to him, but in order for him to get in the mental state of fighting, he has to kind of not necessarily hate the other person, but be a part, like it's an actual fight, like the schoolyard shit. He has to get into that mindset. So
like he's still in a parking lot in Ohio.
So he talked about one fight he had where somebody was being super nice to him and like shaking. I think it was like, did he fight I think it was Marcus Brimage, but he like shook his hand and he goes, "No, hey man, no, listen, when we get up on the stage, don't shake my hand, whatever, I respect you, blah, 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 don't shake my hand, this is a fight." And then he goes up and shake his hand, and Cody's like, shake his hand, like, fuck, shit, it's fucking my head. Like, he's like, he keeps doing these nice shit, and I keep fucking obliging.
Some fighters do need that. I mean, maybe it's an Ohio thing, because Matt Brown's the same way. Like, when Matt Brown was not letting Cowboy, giving any Cowboy any respect in their fight, he was doing really well. And then as soon as they, like, he gave him respect at the beginning of the third round. That's when Cowboy knocked him out. That's when you get
soft, man. I mean, that's a softness issue.
Didn't matter in this one though.
No, it didn't matter in this one. What about where's he from? Youngstown? Where's he from?
Cody Gar Brant? Yeah. It might be. That sounds right.
That's where all like the badasses are from. Like
hey, maybe
Ed O'Neill, Al Bundy, Tony Hinchcliffe.
I don't know, man. It's this tiny town in the fictional land of Ohio. Yes. Which, by the way, if you've ever been to Ohio, I've driven through there a couple times. It's the most depressing place on earth.
Cedar Point's pretty cool. I love Cedar Point. It's like it was like my childhood amusement park. I'd go to stay in Detroit, which by the way sucks as well. Detroit with my grandparents for like Christmas and summertime, and then we would go to Cedar Point, and there would be this big ass power plant. I'm like, oh, it's fucking Simpsons. It looked just like the one from The Simpsons. I was like, oh shit. And then we'd ride roller coasters on barely held together roller coasters made of wood.
I mean, yeah, man, the whole Rust Belt. But, I mean, produces a lot of tough-ass dudes. Stipe Miocic, Cody Gar Brant, Matt Brown. But, yeah, so, I don't know. I was super happy. I mean, it's pretty clear that Gar Brant's not done. He got clipped in the pocket because... when he gets in there, man, he relies on his hand speed and his power, and it's always come through for him. It came through from in the Dominic Cruz fight, but he kept his head right on the center line and got knocked out. I mean, a rematch could very easily go the other way. So Garbrandt's not done. Garbrandt will be back. TJ Dillashaw is the champion. He wants to go down and fight Mighty Mouse. How excited are you for that?
I'd like that. I'd watch that.
Yeah. Who would you give the edge in that fight?
I don't know, man. That's a tough one. I would say I'd say if it goes to decision, DJ would probably win that.
Demetrius Johnson.
Yeah, TJ would finish him though. More than likely.
If there's a finish, it's more likely to be TJ.
Yeah.
So the thing that became interesting with the Garbrandt thing was just the clear speed disadvantage. I mean, he made it work for him. What I especially loved was Cody ducking the head kick and then taunting him and then getting hit with the exact same one, getting knocked down with it in the next round.
Well, did you hear about it in the post fight? Why that was the case?
Why?
So if you noticed in the first round, TJ was setting up the head kick.
Yeah.
With punches, right? And Cody knew that was what he's going to throw. So when he went to the corner, Dwayne said, "Stop setting up the kicks." So that's why that's how he landed it. He just threw it, without setting it up.
That's funny because I mean, they trained together before, so you feel like the thing is like when you're at a speed disadvantage, you think that the athletic advantage, especially in the pocket, would go to a guy like Garbrandt because they trained together. He knows TJ's tricks, and he still got caught.
Yeah.
And that's really interesting. I didn't know that. I didn't catch that in the corner.
Yeah, he stopped setting it up and just threw it and then landed it and caught him. So that was a pretty exciting thing. Did you see the little scuffle at the end where Cody Gar Brant was flipping off TJ's corner?
Yeah, I didn't know who he was like flipping off, but he was mad as shit. Oh, TJ's brother.
Yeah, because TJ brother was pissed off about all the bullshit. He's like, "Fuck you," and then Cody's like, "Fuck you, motherfucker," and like going over and like flipping him off. And I guess they escorted TJ's brother out, but TJ was like, "Yeah, my brother kind of took that shit personally at the time."
I bet, man.
Yeah.
Well, clearly Cody took it personally.
Whatever. Dude.
But man, just seeing him like so aggressive and like angry and then getting knocked out and then TJ screaming in his face. So this we can talk about the next fight too, but this whole main card was like a win for the respectful martial artists.
Yes.
Like I get the feeling all TJ really wants from Alpha Male is just like some respect.
Some respect and probably just to like piss off. TJ doesn't give a fuck. TJ's doing what he wants to do.
He basically got shit for not staying at Team Alpha Male his whole life.
Isn't that crazy? They're like, he's a liar and he left. And it's like, okay, dude, but like,
he's not
so
obligated.
what?
He's not obligated to stay with you his entire career. I don't know, man. Like,
that's so weird.
It's
if any of them were given the same opportunity, which I believe Joe left too, Joseph Benavidez.
Yeah, well, Joseph Benavidez still he goes out there and trains with TJ. So I mean,
I think it was more of a Dwayne thing, dude, with Uriah. Like Dwayne and Uriah don't get along, so it was kind of like the loyalty things. Like,
Uriah
with Dwayne or with Uriah?
Yeah, Uriah Faber loves. He handles all the business stuff. He's aspirationally wealthy. He wants to be like Dana White, jumping off the back of your yacht in the middle of the ocean. And Dwayne is like a hustler as well. So I think it was just a kind of a
type A personality clash.
Yeah, and also just Dwayne was trying to make money any way he could, but that's also Uriah Faber's thing. Like Uriah Faber's the guy who makes money off all the people in the gym.
Well, there was also something
the way Uriah Faber handles it, everyone is family, even though he makes money off of them, which is a little bit weird. And it's also why like a lot of those guys aren't managed by him anymore. Well, I don't want to get too deep into like Team Alpha Male stuff because I've never been there and I only know this stuff secondhand. But
right.
Yeah.
It is what it is. There's a reason entrepreneurs are so successful, and it's not because of their selflessness. You know what I'm saying? So it's not a bad thing in a way.
It's not a bad thing to be self-interested. It's just I think that was part of the conflict. Was
of course because Dwayne, man. I mean, Dwayne's got a family too, and he wants to, and he's got his own martial arts school. So yeah, I mean, it is what it is. I mean, I've had similar things happen in bands where you have. I'm not really the biggest on doing the managing, but when it comes to like performing and music, I know my shit. And if somebody tries to tell me that I'm wrong,
then there's going to be like
there's going to be a problem. Yeah, there's going to be a problem because I'm going to say, well, because I'm going to do a fallacy and say use the argument of authority and say, well, who's been playing guitar for 20 years, me or you? Or who reads music every single day and practices this way, me or you? Or who spends countless hours putting together creations throughout the day, me or you? And shit like that. Or who knows this and that?
You basically pull rank.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I pull rank, basically.
Which, I mean, Team Alpha Male would be the
Yeah.
yeah. So makes sense. But yeah, so this win was kind of a win for respectful martial artists. You had Wonder Boy knock out Masvidal, and then you had he didn't knock him out. He knocked him down and then won a decision.
Dude, he threw my sidekick. Did you see that?
Yeah,
Knocked his ass. I'm telling you, man, that's the shit. I barely throw that anymore when I'm practicing. Do you know that?
The sidekick.
I don't throw kicks anymore.
That weird sidekick that you like to throw.
Yeah, just the sidekick. I don't throw it anymore. Unfortunately.
Well, maybe you should learn again because GSP and Stephen Thompson both used it. But yeah, I mean, great win for Stephen Thompson. I kind of hope they don't throw him in against Darren Till, but I'd love to see him against Robbie Lawler if Robbie Lawler beats Rafael Dos Anjos and Tyron Woodley's out. But yes, and then you had the most unexpected win of the card. Rose Namajunas knocks out Joanna Jedrzejczyk in the first round, also via left hook. Yep. And, you know, afterwards tells everyone that she's nobody special and that we should all just hug each other. And it was pretty amazing. Joanna Jedrzejczyk, I still love Joanna. I can't not. She's awesome. But she went kind of far with the trash talk in this one. And Rose didn't. Rose was like reciting the Lord's Prayer while she was in Jedrzejczyk's face.
Dude.
She goes home afterwards. She posts on Instagram like her tomatoes are ripe, and so she's like really happy that her garden has come through.
Dude,
she's just as happy about that as like winning the belt.
Let me tell you this. That shit
just adorable.
That shit's freaked me out. Like her whole everything freaked me out, dude. Like Joanna, when she's like, the boogie woman is coming, and I'm just like, she's fuck out of here.
She's being extra.
Way too much. Rose legitimately freaked me out, and she's just sitting there talking shit. Stare. And you think she's talking shit. She's like, no, I'm just reciting the Lord's Prayer. I'm like, huh?
That sounds so creepy, doesn't it?
Yeah, she's like, oh, dude, that would get in my fucking head. Like, you're what? It's kind of like when people do crazy shit and you're just like, you know, you talk shit, but then there's like the crazy motherfuckers that just stay super calm and be like I'm gonna fuck you up. It's like, all right, dude, let's go. That would get in my head more than somebody be like, fuck you, I'm gonna fuck you up too.
Just like someone who maintains that calmness.
Well, just somebody be like, well, let me finish doing this and I'm gonna go outside. Yeah.
Someone who's like, you know, Bop It champion.
Yeah, like me.
Yeah.
Bop It, don't fuck with me and Bop It, bro.
Just stays icy calm the whole time.
Yeah.
I mean, it was pretty awesome, man. And I mean, what's next for Rose Namajunas? I don't know. There's a lot of people in that division that are pretty happy that Joanna Jedrzejczyk's not the champion anymore. Jessica Andrade comes immediately to mind.
Yeah.
But I mean, right now I'm happy for Rose.
God, I was so happy. I mean, I love Joanna. I mean, she's my chick, but fucking, I was wanting Rose to win this shit because I'm so sick of this. Like Joanna, she's so cool. She's so funny on the mic. But then she'll start getting angry and like she's not as scary as she used to be. It's like almost an act. When she first started, she wasn't talking as much shit, and she just did that stare down.
Yeah, where she'd like go duck under you and like just stare at you.
Yeah, and
she scared like, Anthony Pettis when she was fighting for the title for the first time.
Yeah, I mean, it's scary as fuck, and it's not as scary anymore. It just
I mean, she tapped out to strikes, which I don't think there's any shame in that.
Fuck no.
If you know you're done and you're clearly like you're taking damage you don't need to take.
Yeah.
There's no shame.
People been talking shit about her tapping?
Oh yeah, man. Just because she talks so much shit beforehand,
it's
like
it's a fight.
You have to kill me to take the belt. But I mean, that's basically what Rose did. Like she clearly, like if you get hit with that left hook, you know, your eyes roll back, like you fall like she fell, and then you just start taking head damage.
Out, dude.
You know what I mean? Like if you fought over 100 fights in Muay Thai and MMA, like Joanna has, I think you're qualified to say, hey, I'm not going to come back from this.
So
right now.
would she been a pussy if she'd have tapped to a submission?
Exactly.
Like who gives a fuck? It's still.
Some people like see that as a sign of weakness too, and none of these people who say that as a sign of weakness have fucking stepped into the octagon and fought professionally,
or even been in a fight, probably,
or even most of them even been in a real fight.
Like, come on,
man. I don't know, man. Like this,
there's a thing.
She's been through more in the ring and in the cage than you will ever go through.
There is a thing that I know, like, when you see like what's made of a person, it's not necessarily if they win or not, but the fact that they even just did what they did. Joanna went in there. Said she had a great training camp. She did this, she did that. She wasn't nervous about losing the fight. She wasn't scared. Everything was perfect, and then she got caught, and they're at the top level of what they do.
There's a very, very, very little margin for error.
Exactly.
And I think people don't realize this. And also, Joanna, again, over this long career, she's been dropped. Like when you've been hit in the head this many times, sometimes you're older than your age. You're older than the number that your age indicates in terms of fight years. So, I mean, she's been dropped like 3 times in her past 4 fights or something like that. I don't remember Andrade dropping her. Maybe she did.
Carolina did.
Carolina did. Claudia Gadelha dropped her with a jab.
Yeah.
I think the fight before that, she got dropped for a second. So it's not.
It's not absolutely ridiculous.
It's not ridiculous, and I mean, great on Rose.
Rose trains in Grudge, I think, right? Or it used to be Grudge. Trevor
trains under Trevor Whitman.
Trevor Whitman, who's
along with Justin Gaethje, who was crying after Rose won. It was just that, like, how meaningful this was, just to see someone who's had a lot of mental battles before just come through with the win like that.
It's supposedly, like, Trevor's a crazy motherfucker. Like, when it comes to so GSP was talking. I heard this on another podcast, but I guess GSP used to train up there in Denver a long time ago.
Oh wow!
With Brendan Schaub, all them. They used to train there. Dwayne was there.
Was this podcast Brendan Schaub's podcast?
No. It was Joe's. I think Joe Rogan's. They were talking about. Oh yeah. They were doing like a fight thing, and he was talking about Trevor Whitman, and Joe's like, Trevor Whitman's fucking crazy, right? It's like, why? He's like, well, Shane used to train there too, Shane Carwin, and he said, yeah, we had GSP said something about like he was there and Trevor wanted GSP to spar Shane, and GSP's like, what? What the fuck are you talking about? It was huge. Why would I do that?
I guess this is why Justin Gaethje and Rose Namajunas are such a good fit for him.
That's what I'm saying. Like they're that's what I mean. They're like ruthless. Pat Barry's a fucking.
Pat Barry is awesome.
Yeah, Pat Barry is fucking amazing striker.
Rose Namajunas' boyfriend. I saw him fight when he came to Houston for Legacy Kickboxing. And he won his fight. But yeah, those guys, they're an adorable couple. Rose Namajunas is both terrifying and adorable, and like she's like love is a more sustainable energy to draw from than hate. I love it, man. I love it. And you know what? I love it because it dovetails perfectly with UFC 217. This like restored my faith in mixed martial arts. You know what I mean? This is the first event in a long time.
UFC.
It's first UFC event in a long time that just made me believe in MMA again. In this era of Reebok and Fox deals and like understanding like how much the UFC is actually worth and how little the fighters are getting paid, like all these issues, and in the middle of like a 2017 that's just not been going very well. We had Hurricane Harvey. Puerto Rico is still devastated a month after the hurricane. Just a lot of shit going on in the real world. And UFC 217 comes along, and like for one night, fans of mixed martial arts can like forget it all and just glory in like a historic moment and a historic night.
Yeah, man. I was thoroughly impressed with this card. The only thing is, how do you follow this card? I mean, you had such a when you put everything and stack it like that.
You got to just take it for what it is. I mean, how do you follow it? I guess Poirier versus Pettis next weekend. So you don't really get a chance to just sit back and be like, man, that was good, because it's always about what's next, what's coming up, and really, I don't know. My thought was like, kind of doesn't matter what comes next as long as USADA doesn't bust GSP. It was just like it stands on its own as like a fantastic historic night, and that's I think that's all you can do with UFC events. It's not a team sport. Like there's not always a like a progression to these things, but if you can just enjoy it in the moment, it's worth it.
Did you see the Deontay Wilder knockout?
Yeah, I did. Deontay Wilder is a heavyweight boxer. I really want to see him fight Anthony Joshua, man. Like you got a bunch of pretty good heavyweight boxers out there, and we need them to fight each other. Deontay Wilder, Anthony Joshua. Who's that crazy dude who like ballooned up past the heavyweight limit?
Is Irish?
Yeah, is it like a gypsy?
Yeah, Tyson Fury.
Tyson Fury.
Yeah, he's a something. He's a something.
He's a something.
He's a gypsy. So the bare knuckle boxing is real popular out there, and it's like part of the culture. It's not even it's not about like the fighting necessarily, but it's like they're tough motherfuckers. Like any gypsies. There's a good movie out actually. Michael Bisping's in it. I can't remember the name of it, but you just have to look it up. It's about bare knuckle boxing. Google's
free. All right, so let's get on with the Jon Fitch interview.
Yeah,
we've got him talking over a wide range of topics. He goes back over his career too. Talks about his fight with Eric Silva. He was going to lose his house before that fight. He was going to get foreclosed on. So it was it just shows you like how much these fights mean at the time. So he talks about that. Talks about the antitrust lawsuit. Talks about kind of where he is in life. And I think you really enjoy it.
Awesome. So without further ado, ladies and gentlemen,
Jon Fitch.
And then I felt good on Wednesday, and I started my weight cut. And then, I didn't know if I was sick or what was going on, but the weight cut was kind of hard. It took a lot longer. And I just thought I felt bad because I was cutting weight. But after I started like drinking water and rehydrating and eating, I could feel that I just couldn't breathe. It was like a gorilla was sitting on my chest. So I had some kind of like bronchial infection. But
oh wow,
the situation, I hadn't had a great relationship with the UFC at that point in time. For me to think about pulling out the morning of a fight was, madness. Like what would they have done to me was the mindset.
Yeah.
But they fired me anyways, and that was kind of just very eye-opening and the last straw for me. Really, there's a lot of incidences, but that was just the last straw. Because I knew what was going to happen. I took the risk of fighting sick because I knew what they would have done to me if I would have pulled out of the fight the morning of the show. Public embarrassment, put me on the shelf for a while, just try to defame me and demonetize my abilities to delegitimize me in any way possible. They've done it with so many other guys. I knew it was coming, and then I sucked it up and just fought to do my job as somebody to support and help the company out, and I got fired anyways.
Yeah, and we have seen that. We've seen that for a long time now. Just anyone who doesn't do exactly what the company wants, with the company line, they get dragged in public.
And one of the secrets is like the bonuses, all the indiscretionary bonuses or the performance bonuses type things. Those are all there as incentive for you to keep your mouth shut.
Just ways to control you.
Yes, because if you legitimately should have claimed that money, but you speak out, they won't give it to you. Because there's no merit system. There's no meritocracy. You can't prove to them, hey, I did this, you owe me this. That's nothing, because it's a gift. And you can't get the gift if you make them mad.
Man. See, that's one of those things.
But to the fans, it's twisted. To the fans, it's like, oh, you had a chance to make this much extra money. That's more money than I make in a year. It's a big deal to them. But they don't see the control element there.
Right. Well, and the other thing too is that you're a professional athlete. You are making the company a lot more money than you're getting paid. Estimates I've seen for UFC fighter pay are under 20%. Whereas in other sports, it's 50%.
Yes. So, in boxing, especially another form of prize fighting, is 55 to 85%.
Wow. So let's talk a little bit about the lawsuit. After you got cut by the UFC and moved on to World Series of Fighting, but a couple years ago now, you and a few other fighters, Nate Corey, there's a couple other ones, started a class action lawsuit against the UFC. Just walk through the details of that and the progress you guys have made.
Well, we've got 10 named plaintiffs. We are representing the class, which is 2010, because we filed in 2014, and there's a 4-year whatever grandfather type thing. So every fighter from 2010 till present day is represented by this lawsuit. So there's an economist who will determine what the pay should have been during that time period in order to tell the judge what we feel the damages are to the fighters who participated. And at the end of the case, the judge will decide whether or not we should be rewarded full damages, partial damages, whatever. And he will decide the split between the lawyers and the fighters and whatever. It's generally 20% goes to the lawyers, and then the class of fighters will be split up the other 80%. And then I'm not sure quite yet how the judge will figure out how which fighter gets how much. It'll probably be a percentage type thing.
Okay. So any fighter who fought for the UFC during that time period, was it up to that 2010?
2010 till present, yeah.
Okay, so they would be eligible to join the lawsuit, but you have 10 people actually.
Well, they're already a part of it. You have to write in. You have to write in and ask to be taken off of it.
Gotcha. So it's an opt-out process.
No, yeah. Okay. You have to ask to be taken off of it. Otherwise, you're included in.
Hey, that's awesome. So this could be a really important deal for a lot of fighters who.
A lot of retired guys or people who haven't fought in a long time or whatever. This could be return damages.
Yeah.
The other interesting thing about this is that it's an antitrust case, right? So the federal government already has very strict antitrust lawsuits, or not lawsuits, but laws. So if you break the antitrust law, it pays in treble. So whatever the economist feels is the damages, if the judge sees that we were damaged in the way we say we were, we would get 3 times what the damage number would be.
Gotcha. Wow. That's that's incredible, but I can't say that's any more than would be just.
Yeah, because that's the thing. It's not like the money doesn't exist. We know it's there. The money was extorted and not paid to the guys that should have been getting paid the money.
So the UFC just sold for what, $4.3 billion, and then financed again recently for another millions of dollars. And a lot of fights.
Fertitta's sold out completely.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's right. They recently liquidated the rest of their UFC. A lot of the thing is, a lot of fighters, especially retired fighters from that era, but including current fighters, they don't have a lot of money. I think people overestimate how much.
I mean, you make 10 and 10, and you fight twice a year. Even if you're winning both fights, you're not doing that great. And you have to if you're living in an expensive city, forget about it. It's kind of why I feel that the talent level of the fights or fighters has dropped a little bit, because guys who are really talented and do want to fight, they're usually hard workers and successful type of people. They're not going to want to do this work for no money. Like, MMA isn't like boxing in the fact that it's not a poverty-driven sport. Like, a lot of boxers get into boxing because they're super poor and they have nothing else to do. There's no other way for them to raise above where they were born. MMA fighters aren't like that. MMA fighters choose to fight. A lot of us are college graduates. A lot of wrestlers, a lot of people who could do other things and make a lot of money in other things. So we have a completely different mindset as boxers, but we still operate under the prize fighting umbrella, so we should all be treated the same way.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, that was something else that is another recent development that could help fighters is the Ali Act. They want to expand the Ali Act to MMA. Kind of talk about the pros and cons of that from your perspective as a professional fighter. And
it's a very simple bill. There's not a lot of cons to it. If we just can get the Ali Act passed through, there's very simple things that would change everything and prevent promoters from taking advantage of people. The slimy contracts would be done with, and we wouldn't have promoters controlling the title anymore, which is illegal and has been illegal for 150 years anyways. The U.S. government stripped the right for a promoter to control a title with exclusive contracts back in the 1800s. because they were boxing and having all-in fights and pro wrestling and catch wrestling. It was under the same structures, and they saw how promoters monopolized their little sports and their little companies through controlling the title. Because once you have control of the title, all of the fighters and all the people who are competing, all the prize fighters, have to go and compete for that title in order to really get paid. So you have a monopoly control over them.
Yeah.
And then getting the guys and the fighters an ability to look at the finances. How much money did I make for you as a company? That way, if the promoter's like, oh, we can't pay you more because you're boring, you can be like, well, wait a minute. Show me your numbers. Show me what your sales were. Let's see them compared to other people who have fought. Let's see them compared to other people who are making around the same amount as me and are similarly ranked. Then you can actually have a merit-based system on arguing for better pay rather than them just arbitrarily saying you're boring.
Right. Absolutely. And the other thing with that is people think about the pay-per-view numbers and, oh, can this person move pay-per-view units? But they get a lot of money from Fox, from their TV deals, from corporate other sponsors, and fighters.
And the gate is good money. Like gate and concessions. Like what are you making on T-shirt and hot dogs?
Yeah.
Like, don't forget that stuff. I mean, and then some stadiums have the ability to pay promoters money to host their events at their stadiums. So I mean, there's a lot of different ways that money can be made there. I think the fighters need to have an option of looking at the numbers so they can actually negotiate a deal.
Yeah, and right now the UFC, is because they're a private company, they're not obligated to release that. So
so they can just say you're boring, or they can just say, oh well, you don't sell, but they have absolutely zero proof and no evidence to show you any of their claims are real.
Yeah, they don't even have to release official pay-per-view figures.
No, but
all
they
that
can
stuff.
just make up numbers.
So, is the lawsuit? I know it's currently still in the discovery process. Is that one of the things you're looking at?
I'm sorry. What part?
I know the lawsuit is still in the discovery process, and I know you're looking at kind of subpoenaing. Is that
subpoenaing?
Yes, different documents and finding out different relevant information.
I think we are. We're through discovery and we're finishing up the depositions. I think in the month of December. I think that's what's going on, and then they'll have expert reports are coming in. So I think I think discovery's kind of over with, and now we have expert reports and the final depositions and the cross depositions, that type of stuff.
Okay.
The next really big thing is in May is going to be the class certification.
Okay.
So that's the big one. That's the one where the judge will decide whether or not we have a relevant class. If we can prove that all of the fighters in the class were damaged in the same way by the same Monsapani practices, we'll get the class and then we'll move forward from there. Next would be we'd be getting closer to the trial at that point.
Gotcha. So I mean, obviously, this is a very lengthy process. We
filed in 2014, and then we're looking at end of 2018 finish. So it's a good solid 4 years, I think, that we've been at this, which is pretty standard, I believe, from what I was told.
Yeah. As far as I know, I think that sounds about right. Now you're still an active fighter. You're currently the PFL world welterweight champion.
Well, that's one of the funny things that I actually, one of my sales pitches to the guys getting representatives for the Ali Act is this. I was the World Series of Fighting champion. I won that championship. I defended against Jake Shields, and then the next fight against Brian Foster should have been another defense, but they changed the name of the company to the PFL, so I was no longer champion.
See, that's crazy.
And now we're gonna fight in a tournament for the belt. So I have no problem with the tournament and the money on the line for the tournament, whatever. I don't care. But the idea that I went from champion to not champion without losing is kind of odd.
Yeah, that's a little bit bizarre, especially it's the same organization. It's the same fighters. Yeah.
And that's the problem. We don't have a sanctioning body in the sport of martial arts, which means it's not a sport. Every other professional sport out there and amateur sport out there pretty much has a sanctioning body. The NFL is a sanctioning body. The Major League Baseball, that is a sanctioning body. That is an independent company that controls the title in order to make sure that the title is respected and fought after, or the people want to compete for it. You can't disgrace the title or make it worthless. Otherwise, the fighters won't want to compete for it anymore.
Yeah, now, absolutely. In terms of sanctioning bodies, a lot of people look at like the state sanctioning bodies, or like the Nevada State Athletic Commission. But these
that's not a sanctioning body. That is a regulatory body.
Gotcha.
Athletic commissions, they're supposed to regulate. The sanctioning bodies like the WBO, WBC, the NFL, the PGA, the organization that puts all the events together. NASCAR itself is a sanctioning body. The races are like the Daytona race or the whatever 500 or whatever 450, right? Those racetracks are promoters. The NASCAR itself, that's a sanctioning body.
So
NFL the same way. The teams are promoters. Each team is a promotion.
Okay.
The NFL is a sanctioning body. It controls the title. NFL is a little bit different though because it also regulates. Right?
Gotcha.
They also do the testing and stuff like that. So they are kind of mixed together, regulator and sanctioning body. But because of prize fighting's history, the athletic commissions were created in the 1800s, 1850s by the New York, or by the federal government. So the first regulatory body, sanctioning body, was the New York State Athletic Commission. And in 1925, WBO, WBC, they had to be created because there was too much corruption in the sport of boxing, because the New York Athletic Commission controlled the heavyweight championship. And that gave them leverage because it was the biggest state and the most money in that state. So every promoter and every fighter had to go to that state in order to try to compete. And that was against antitrust laws, because you should be able to open a business in Kentucky and compete with anybody. Why should every fighter that I raise up to be a champion leave and go to New York? Why shouldn't I be able to be, take control of the guy that I'm helping bring up from his first fights to his championship fights? And that's one of the problems we have in MMA today. You can't be a small-time promoter who has ambition and start promoting some young kids who haven't developed themselves yet, and then develop them all the way up into a champion, and then cash in on them being a champion. Like, once they get to a certain level, they have to leave your promotion and go to a bigger promotion, because the promotions control the belts.
Right. So that in itself is a conflict of interest, and that's part of the antitrust issue.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because UFC monopolizes the world championship belt. The most respected, highest belt is monopolized by them. If you want to be taken seriously in this world of fighting, you have to fight for their belt. I mean, just look at Ben Askren. He may be the best welterweight ever. We don't know, because he wasn't allowed to fight for the best in this belt.
Yeah, and the UFC was just not interested in signing him, despite his obvious talent and his pedigree.
Mm-hmm. And the reason is because the UFC does not want consistent fighters. They do not want guys to be consistent unless they're going to use them to get into a certain market and make a bunch of money.
Gotcha. So that right there, like you said, is a conflict of interest. Something else we've seen recently with the UFC is the Reebok deal, which was that was after your time in the UFC, but it took away independent source of revenue for the fighters and brought that stream of revenue under the control of the UFC, and the fighters they were strong-armed into accepting it.
Yep. I don't know about being strong-armed into accepting contracts.
And as someone who's fought for a world title and fought for a very long time, how much money are fighters losing out on under the Reebok deal?
Oh, it's ridiculous. I mean, the good, easy comparison is just look what Conor was able to do in boxing versus what Conor can do in MMA right now.
Yeah.
Right. As a champion, he makes like $40,000 a fight in sponsorships. If I'm wrong or right. Right. He made, I think, $15 million for his sponsorships when he fought Mayweather.
That sounds right.
It's a pretty big swing. I mean, it's still his name. Like, why wouldn't he still be able to pull $5 million?
Right, because that money is going through the UFC to him on something he doesn't have control of anymore.
Mm-hmm. And I mean, he's the name. People are paying to watch him.
Yeah, and then the other thing that is draconian is the UFC controls fighter likeness in perpetuity. So video game deals, the bobblehead.
Especially nowadays, it's so easy to get an app or make a video game. You can take your face and map it on all kinds of stuff these days, and have a toy or have a action figure or a video game or an app. So these guys are missing out on the opportunity to be entrepreneurs and create their own content and do their own stuff.
And there's some fans out there who will say, well, who cares? Making more money than I'm making, and also, if they didn't want to do this, they should do something else. But they ignore the cost, in not only the financial cost, but the physical toll the sport takes. Mm-hmm. We were talking.
Yeah, I mean, we only get to do this for a little while. It'd be nice to make money that we can put away and use later on in life.
Yeah,
you can't put in. You put in 10 to 15 years in a sport, like you've missed the opportunity to start a career in your 20s, So by the time you're getting out, you're almost 40 or you're 40 something, and now you've got to start over. You start in a career with a bunch of 20-year-olds. It's, and it's not like people weren't making a ton of money off of you.
Right.
That's the thing. It's not like we're saying, hey, you fans give us more of your money. You're already paying. They've already paid enough. We want the promoters to give us a better cut of the pay.
Absolutely. So it's about fairness, and it's about, there's a lot of retired fighters who are,
and it's about free markets also, because what if the promoter's not good at promoting? You may be unsatisfied with the promoter and how they run things. So why should you be stuck with them because they control the highest belt?
Yeah, Demetrius Johnson faces
Demetrius Johnson, exactly. I was just going to say that. They have done a horrible job of promoting this guy.
They can't figure out.
It's almost like they purposely have put him on bad cards. It's like they're purposely manipulating the cards to make sure he doesn't get popular.
Well, it kind of makes you wonder. The way they do it is on purpose. They keep people desperate for each fight.
Yes.
So
that way you have to take it.
Yeah, because you got to get paid. Because you don't have enough money to just sit out and wait. With Nate Diaz he played hardball, and he still didn't get paid what a boxer would have gotten paid, but he hasn't made millions of dollars. Now look at him; he doesn't have to fight. He can. And
honestly, that is the biggest argument for the Ali Act. Absolute biggest argument. The fighters get to choose when they fight, who they fight, how often they fight. That is the number one most impactful thing in your health.
Yeah, hands down. Because there's the whole head trauma thing that we don't really know about.
Yep. They're encouraging that. They're giving knockout bonuses to people, fight of the night bonuses to people who are clearly fighting not smart and getting hurt over necessarily for a small bonus, $40,000, $50,000. That doesn't help fix brain trauma later in life.
It doesn't.
You're taking this money and whipping it around in front of kids, and saying, hey, you look at this money you can get if you just get a little bit of brain damage. But don't worry, you won't have to worry about that brain damage until you're old.
And that's not a decision that a young fighter is capable of making intelligently. When you're a young guy, you're a fighter.
I can make $50,000 if I just sit in the pocket and trade punches with this guy.
Yeah,
I'll do that.
Exactly.
I can do that forever. I'm tough.
Exactly.
No, you're getting brain damage for $50,000, $40,000.
Yeah, and it's not like there are pensions in the sport either.
Exactly. It's not like you're getting, a big cut afterwards when you're all done. But I mean, boxers, they don't need pensions. They're able to negotiate their contracts and get paid well. Or they figure out that they're not good enough to keep fighting at a certain point and they just call it a day.
Yeah. So, I mean, it seems short-sighted in a number of ways, not just for the well-being of the fighters, but like you said, talented people are not getting into this sport because...
Yeah, why?
The money...
Why? If you're an athletic person and you're good at fighting, but you can make more money doing like CrossFit or something else, selling insurance. Why wouldn't you? Selling houses, real estate. I mean,
yeah. Look at Ally Aquinta.
Yeah, there's more ways to make money.
Yeah,
without getting punched in the face.
It's wild. And
then now you have a problem too, where the UFC's kind of like degraded the value of their belt.
Yeah, because they keep creating new belts and they keep
new belts, new champions. Everything keeps changing. Like it doesn't carry the same weight as it used to.
Yeah, that's true. It used to be a fighter like Leo Machida, just for any championship fight, you'd get half a pay-per-view buys. Now it's down to 100,000. So that's the fans are.
I think one of the problems with the pay-per-views, though, we have to be careful. Is I think the viewership has changed a lot too, and people aren't watching things the same way. So I don't think they're watching. They're watching the fights, but I don't think they're watching it in a measurable way because I think they're pirating it or they're looking. Like I've seen a bunch of fights on Facebook. Somebody posted on Facebook Live. So like I was watching the Cormier fight. There was like 1,000 people on this one link. I was like, I wonder how many of these links exist on YouTube right now, or on Facebook right now, or other places.
Yeah, and that's very true. I mean, I've seen that myself. And I think especially nowadays after 2008, people are struggling. It's hard to cough up $50-$60 for pay-per-view every month. But yeah. So I mean, let's talk a little bit about where you're at in your career and what's next for you. PFL has this new tournament format, and you're currently listed as the welterweight champion. So how's that going to work for you?
Well, we're still kind of trying to find out because I haven't gotten much word from them. There's supposed to be some kind of contract coming, but we haven't seen it. We don't exactly know what's on it or what it says. I don't know what date. They're supposed to be starting the tournament in January, but I don't know. There's a lot of questions that I have.
Yeah, yeah, it's an interesting spot to be in. I mean, how are you doing? Are you finding other stuff to keep busy?
Yeah, I mean, I've been mostly busy with the kids, taking care of them, being super dad, and then I'm getting some stuff looked at, some old injury problems that I've had for a long time, and kind of, if I have time, I'm gonna look and see if I can rehab things and have doctors look at other things and see what's going on. But yeah, I've been doing this a long time. So if there aren't things motivating me to be in this, or if I keep running into like these brick walls of just annoyance, because I only fought one time this year, and the year before only like twice. So it gets old to sit around and wait, and I might have to start looking at coaching more, or start looking at another field, even if I can't find something more consistent than what's been going on.
Gotcha. Yeah, I mean, I did want to ask you about that. Someone who's had a long career, a very successful career, fought tons of high-level guys in and out of the UFC. How does your motivation change? And I guess, how has it changed over the years? You had your title shot, that big fight against GSP, and then you put.
Yeah, it changes a lot, man. I've been fighting 15 years.
Yeah.
So wrestling for 30 years.
Wow.
So motivations and things change. When you're young, being the best making money, getting girls, those are very motivating things. Like, like it's surprising like how much harder you're willing to work or diet or whatever, because you'll have access to a higher quality level of girls. But it's the truth. And
so that does make a huge difference?
I think it does. But then, you get older and you get married and you start realizing that, you'd rather have one girl than a lot of girls. You start having kids and family and stuff, and then priorities change. You got bills to pay, and now you have vacations you want to go on, and you have houses you want to buy. So it's different for sure. And it gets a lot more annoying having to wait around, because it's like if I was doing anything more consistently, I'm a hard worker, I'm pretty sure I'd get paid. So like just sit and not be able to make money is really annoying to me, really bothersome.
Yeah, I hear that, man. It's that's one thing that everyone has in common, right? So we all got bills to pay, and
imagine you have a job and you're able and willing to work, and it's a job that pays good money, but they just don't want you to come in that often.
Yeah,
they just don't get to work. It's annoying.
I hear you.
But I don't know. I might after I get some of the medical stuff checked out and it's looking good. I might even get into some more grappling stuff, because grappling's popping off, getting big right now.
Yeah. You got on invitationals. You have the new flow grappling event.
Yeah.
Who would you like?
A lot of stuff.
Who would you like to face in grappling?
I don't even know. Anybody. I just I got to go up against Meow, one of the Meow brothers a little while ago, a couple years ago. That was fun. But I don't know if I have any names exactly in mind. I just think it would be fun. Anytime I can travel and compete, I think it's a good time. I've been breaking into doing seminars and stuff again too, and I'm starting to take on some private lessons, and hopefully I'll get some fighters rounded up at AKA that want to train under me, and see if I can make something out of maybe coaching.
Would you try to do the combat jiu-jitsu? Have you heard about that?
Yeah, isn't that Shales?
I think it's Eddie Bravo started, but I think Shell's trying to get
Eddie Bravo?
involved in it. Yeah. Open palm strikes on the ground, so there's potential for kind of real life thing. But you trying to say just plain grappling, or would you be interested in trying that out as well?
No, yeah, that's a possibility. Right. Combat jiu-jitsu. I wouldn't mind a little open hand. I guess, whatever. Just trying to see like what's out there that I can do, be excited about, and because I love to compete. I just want to be able to compete consistently, and I want to be able to compete without pain. It's been a long time since I've done that.
Yeah, so I think another thing a lot of people don't realize is most fighters compete. You all have injuries pretty much.
It's just some of them are more worse than others. Some of them are just nagging things that break down over time, and some things are sharp, traumatic things that break all at once. But they're all pain in the ass.
I got you. And then I didn't want to ask like looking back in your career. What are your do you have like highlights, like moments that you're like, man, I'm really glad that happened, or really glad I did?
Yeah, no, I mean, like getting into the UFC, a lot of the events, a lot of the stuff I got to do in that time period was awesome. A lot of great people, got to travel quite a bit, even though the money was messed up. The experiences were still awesome. Fighting GSP for a world title, that's one of the biggest things you could ever hope for, other than winning.
Yeah.
I beat Eric Silva in his hometown in a fight that I consider kind of a setup fight.
Yeah.
And, they wanted
Andrew
me to
and I
lose.
watched that together.
Yeah,
I think we were cheering you on. We were like, "Yeah, go John!" We're real excited about that.
I think at the time I was on the Eric Silva bandwagon, and AJ was going for you.
Because and that was big too, because like I was going through so much. Like I had a draw with BJ Penn. If I would have won that fight, I was supposed to fight GSP for the title. We had a draw, and we're supposed to have a rematch. But I got sent to the UFC's surgeon. And the UFC surgeon made me get shoulder surgery that I didn't need. So it took me out for like 9 months. So then I was panicked. I was like, oh, I got to get back there, get a fight, get a win, and then get my title shot back. So that was the Hendricks fight. So I go back to the Hendricks fight. The first day of training camp, I tear my MCL. So I refused to let the coaches know how bad I was hurt. I got a PRP-like injection thing in my knee. It was awful. And I just mostly just hit the bag, hit mitts, and I couldn't wrestle or grapple that whole fight. Like, if you look at pictures of my body, I look terrible. And we were at a place where I needed money to fight too. So I took the fight because I didn't want my house to get foreclosed on.
Wow.
I lost that fight, and then I'm like, okay, well, this is bad. They're going to cut me. I know they're going to cut me. Because, like, Joe Silva had threatened multiple times. As soon as Fitch loses, we're cutting him so we can sign him back for half as much.
Wow.
So I was like, oh, do or die. This is it. They set up the Silva fight. I was like, all right, here we go. They're sending me into hell. Fucking here we go. I knew what it was, and I had that the whole fight to preparation to prep for that, because I knew they were setting me up. They wanted me to lose that kid. So that's one of my sweetest victories.
That was another fight where at one point he had a rear naked choke locked in, and his
positioning is too high.
It was too high.
Yep. He was too. His head was above mine. That's not a good position to finish. I was too low in his hips. He needs to be up higher, or I needed to be up higher. But yeah, I got out and did what I did. So those were some of the biggest ones. Those were probably the big ones that I remember, and always bring a smile. But the second time I beat Thiago Alves, that was also a huge fight, and I thought I performed amazing. Like, it was one of my best performances, and they still just shit all over me. The UFC and the way they talked about me or treated me. I had a title, like, I was guaranteed a title shot for winning that fight before the fight. But when I won, they took it away at the press conference.
Yeah, they do that, and they do that consistently. What's crazy is that was your fifth win in a row. Yeah,
I won 5 in a row. And after I lost to GSP at a Fight of the Night fight, after winning 8 before that. And I was like on a 14 or 16 fight win streak before I fought George. Like,
that's crazy, man.
No, there's no meritocracy in MMA. They're just putting on a production. It's a television show to them without predetermined outcomes.
No, man. And it's
basically a reality TV show.
Which is crazy, because most people watch it, looking at it, would think it's a sporting event.
Well, because the outcome's not predetermined, and the guys are really in there fighting. That's real. But everything around it, the structure, there's no sports structure around it at all. It's entertainment.
Yeah. Which
which you can't do because people gamble on it, and once people gamble on it, the government gets involved, and then it has to be regulated. And if it's regulated, that means it's a sport. So there's all kinds of problems with that.
Yeah. Switching gears a little bit, you've had the chance to train and fight with a lot of people across the combat sports world. Are you still active at AKA?
Yeah, I've been helping out, and I started to make myself a little more available for coaching stuff there. But yeah, I just I've been trying to get that stuff going and get some online teaching stuff going. I've been putting up some YouTube videos here and there, official Jon Fitch YouTube. Just doing what I can, building the brand without fighting.
Absolutely.
I went to Guam for a week also, and did seminars out there, taught some classes. So,
okay.
Been busy teaching, stuff like that.
Oh, that's awesome. You got a couple.
Trying to promote my Fitch Smash program. Basically, written a self-defense combatives program.
Oh yeah, that's right. And I remember seeing a video of you with one of those electric knives.
Yeah, that was a long time ago. But that was we did we were doing some MACP, Modern Army Combatives program. We're doing some training for that. And one of the things they do is it's that's why that knife video cracks me up, because people are always making comments. They think they know everything. But that drill is specifically set up, there's no punching or kicking. We're given one command. We haven't had any lessons or anything. It's a demonstration to like throw people into the mindset of a weapon and let them know what they think they know about fighting someone with a weapon is wrong. That's the whole like purpose of that drill. So we're doing a lot of stuff in there, and we learn what not to do kind of by going off of our own presumptions, because everybody thinks they know how to fight. Oh, if somebody came in with a knife, I'd do this and I'd do this and I'd do that. Well, if we put you in a situation where like you have to do that, you'll see really quickly that you don't know what the hell you're talking about.
I actually had that situation happen to me this weekend at one of my gigs. Somebody pulled out a knife, was getting ready to fight this other guy, and I froze, and I was like, "Oh, this is real. It's reality."
So that's kind of what it is, and it's an army program type thing. So I think they do that a lot, where they break people down in order to build them up. Like they did this other drill. It was it's called like the 20-foot rule or something like that. And basically, if you have a sidearm or your handgun, and it's loaded, but it's not racked. Like you don't have one in the chamber. If you put somebody 20 feet away from you, it's damn near impossible to pull that gun, rack it, and get a round off, unless you are very skilled and trained at that.
Wow.
So a lot of people, they say they do that because they get a lot of people who were like, oh, I don't need to learn the grappling, I carry a gun. And they're like, yeah, well, we're in a situation where this guy's 20 feet away from you, and he's about ready to come at you. You say, go, and both guys try to get, one guy, we gave him like a jiu-jitsu belt to hit the other guy with. And seeing if what guy could get a shot off before he got hit with the belt. And nobody could really do it. I think at 25 feet we started having success, or 25 feet we started having success. Wow. But even then, like, how big is your caliber on that gun? Is it 9 millimeters, 40 millimeter? Like, is it got one shot stopping power? Does the guy have a knife? Like, because you could shoot him once and he still gets to you with the knife.
Man, this is stuff
and that's you knowing that it's coming. You know that this guy's coming. It's not like you're walking down the street and then all of a sudden somebody jumps out at you.
Yeah, one of my pet peeves is like in movies and in TV shows, whenever someone has a gun and pulls a gun, the theory is, oh, suddenly I have control of the situation, and everyone understands that. Not the case on the street.
Steven Seagal stuff.
Yeah, if you can't control your space and they get hands on your gun, like, you're in trouble.
Yeah. So I mean, everyone check out Fitch Smash for more on that.
And, I have a Facebook page, Fitch Smash.
And then one last thing I want to ask you about. You're frequently on Instagram. I've seen you playing the ukulele.
Yep.
That's a hobby you like to figure stuff out on the ukulele? Yeah,
I like to joke around and say that I'm not a musician. I'm a technician. I can find, there's this website, I'll give them a shout out, Ukulele Underground, and they have like play-alongs and instructional videos. It's pretty awesome. They have all kinds of practice lessons and stuff. I suggest it. I bought a year subscription. I've had a couple years subscriptions to it. But yeah, it's pretty awesome because they show you like where to put your fingers when it's time to put your fingers there, almost like Guitar Hero.
That's awesome. What size ukulele do you play?
I have a couple. I have 2 concerts and one. Man, I'm drawing a blank. The big one.
Baritone?
No, not the baritone. The tenor. Sorry, tenor.
Oh, okay, right on.
Yeah, so a concert and a tenor. Or 2 concerts and a tenor.
Awesome.
Yeah, that's legit. So I write the Midnight Mania series at MMA Mania, so we pull a lot of stuff off of social media in there. So you've been featured a couple times playing, jamming out on the ukulele.
Yeah, well, I sang a song for George Michael when he passed away last Christmas, and then Tom Petty, who passed away too. So.
Yeah, musical legends.
Yeah. But I'm not very good. It's fun to play. I started carrying it with me when I travel because I got so sick of hotel TV, or just TV in general. Like I cut the cable cord like 10 years ago, and I still have Netflix and stuff, but like any kind of TV with commercials just drives me nuts. So I'd rather sit with the TV off and play ukulele.
Man, that's awesome. At least you're doing something that's engaging, right? Like cognitively.
Yeah, it's one of the things I've learned about fighting aging is continue to challenge your mind. So I think playing an instrument is a really good source of challenge for my mind and my body at the same time.
Absolutely.
My motor skills.
Yeah. That's why I tell AJ he'd be a great fighter. Professional guitar musician. But no. So I did want to ask you, a couple of your AKA teammates have fights coming up, and Khabib Nurmagomedov had a fight announced against Edson Barboza.
Mm-hmm.
And as like a fellow wrestler around that size who's been around for a long time, how good is his wrestling? He seems to give a lot of these lightweights trouble.
He's a beast, man.
I mean,
him and Gray Maynard are physically some of the strongest people I've ever trained with.
Really?
Regardless of size. Like they're just monsters. Like their positional power, grip strength, good wrestling timing too. All of it just makes it just really hard to deal with them at all.
Yeah,
Khabib gets his hands around you, you're in trouble.
He doesn't look big, he doesn't look jacked, but
no, he's like meat and potatoes jacked. He's strong, man, but he walks around big.
What weight does he walk around at?
He can be in the 90s sometimes.
Wow. What weight do you walk around at?
95, 200.
So he's almost as big as you are.
But I don't let my weight get up anymore. I can get up to 220. If I start eating and get soft bodied kind of, I'll be 220. But I find that it's easier just to stay leaner than it is to go up and down all the time.
Gotcha.
Yeah, if I stay pretty committed to my diet, I can have a cheat meal or two on the weekend, or have a snack, on the weekend. But the weekday, I pretty much meal plan it, and everything is pretty consistent all the time. I don't really need a lot of snacks, especially if I'm eating at certain times. I don't allow myself to get super hungry where I have to stuff my face with something.
Yeah, that's normal people problems.
Yeah, well, most people, what they do is they don't eat all day, and then when they finally get home and have a break, they just stuff their mouth with terrible shit.
That Tom Segura joke, he exercised for half an hour, and he's like, "Yeah, man, I think I can refuel with 10,000 calories. I think I earned that."
Yeah.
My personal strategy, I just eat.
And a Diet Coke.
So I just eat candy all day. I just snack all day. So that's that's how I.
That's gonna get you. Are you still in your 20s?
Yeah, I'm 26.
Yeah. Okay, so you want to cut that out at least by the time you're 30, because you're gonna get cancer at 40.
Yeah, that's what I figure. Once my metabolism changes, my girlfriend's over looking at me in the corner like she's. Yes, I told you this already, but
Well, you got to make sure you keep your testosterone levels good too, man. That's a big threat. A lot of people don't pay attention to. You eat these bad foods and you kill off your testosterone, and then you just get all mushy.
Yeah, see, maybe that's my problem.
Yeah, you get mushy and you get walked over by people.
That's got to be an issue in life.
Yeah.
Hey, so thanks.
More testosterone. Yeah, no problem. It's been good being on.
Jon Fitch helping me out with life issues.
Yeah, life coach.
Good luck on
Hey,
everything.
maybe that's something I can do.
Hey, there you go.
There you go.
I mean, yeah, that's actually a great idea. Clearly,
Actually, no, that's actually one of the ideas. One of the services I have for my Fit Smash online stuff is I call it fight camp counseling, but you don't have to be a fighter. You don't have to be in a fight camp. But basically, it's help you live like you're in a fight camp to get your and get your body together for like a set period of time, 8 or 12 weeks, something like that.
That's a great brand. Yeah, people should definitely sign up for that, man. So yeah, everyone check out Fitch Smash online and get your shit together, people.
Clean your room, make your bed.
It's the simple things, right?
Simple things, it really is. If you can't make your room, you can't make your bed, you can't clean your room up, keep your house clean, dishes out of the sink. How the hell are you gonna change the world?
Oh, that's a good point, man. So you got my girlfriend over here just looking at me, just giving me these looks like.
Get you in trouble.
Yeah, man. Oh, well, thanks a lot.
Thanks a lot, dude. All right, thanks for having me on. It was good talking, guys.
Hey, absolutely.
so much.
Yes, sir. Appreciate it.
All right.
Thank you for listening to the MMA Outsiders. You can find us on Twitter. I'm at Vorpality, VORPALITY. That's on Twitter and Facebook. And, of course, you can check out my work on MMA Mania. I write the Midnight Mania series every night. And, AJ, where can they find you?
My Twitter handle is AJ Herrick, AJAYHERRICK. You can find me on Twitter there. You can also follow me on Instagram. Same thing, AJAYHERRICK. A lot of...
How do you spell that?
HERRICK.
What?
Yeah, HERRICK. You can find me on Instagram and Twitter and at Facebook as well. Be on the lookout for Slave the Verb if you're in the Houston area, specifically down towards the coast. I will be tomorrow, which I guess you won't probably hear this podcast by then. Well, I'll be at Friday and Saturday at the Bolt House. Saturday we're having our Veterans Day event, so come out and join us if you happen to be in the area. It'll be an all-day event.
And we might have a special treat for you later this week, so keep an eye out. Just got word we might have a special guest on a limited edition episode.
It's not really limited edition. It's probably going to be on the air forever, but whatever.
I'm going to take it down to make it limited edition. It'll be up for like a week, and then I'll be
That's
like,
fucked up,
delete
bro. All right, man. So thank you for listening. Thank Jon Fitch for participating. That was an awesome interview.
Amazing. Once in a lifetime experience.
All right, this has been the MMA Outsiders podcast.
Thank you so much.